One of the taboo topic is sex in marriage. If there is dissatisfaction and people also getting into virtual sex and pornography to satisfy themselves, is there anything wrong with it? Isn't it better than committing adultery? This is one of the questions posed to us.
Well, uh, alternatives for sexual satisfaction in any kind, it's not just anyone else, but any kind, I would say is equal to sin. Because what is Jesus' standard about adultery? Jesus' standard is, even if you see a woman with a lustful eye, you've already committed adultery. If that is the standard, that Jesus has set, if we are looking at watching pornography as an alternative, we are actually, in many ways degrading the standards. So whether you're physically doing it, virtually doing it, the point is your mind is corrupted. You have already, engaged your mind and your body and your thoughts and everything in, sexual act in a different way in your, and I think before God, that is not less sin than this sin or anything like that. I think it's the same. So to keep our marriage bed undefiled is the way forward in our marriage. So I would say, don't bring the devil inside and expect your marriage bed to be holy. No. If you are bringing, literally, you're watching somebody act, by in pornography, and you are satisfying yourself. And I think in no way justifies you having adultery with another woman. Definitely that is equally wrong. But this, I don't want to reduce the intensity of that. I would say that is equally wrong, like, committing adultery, because if I'm not faithful to the covenant that I have made, in whichever form, I think I'm going against the covenant that I have made before God and to my spouse, to be faithful to her till death to do us apart. So let's imagine I'm kind of incapacitated because of, say, some sickness. This could be an area that would get affected. So what happens? So is that give warranty for my spouse to go around with anyone else, or other way around? Nothing. So anything can happen, So it's better to deal with the problem that the person is facing. Okay, if you are struggling in the area of sexual intimacy, please deal with it. Please take help. Today, by God's grace, there is so much of help available. There are very good, counselors who are able to help people in these areas. So if you are able to take help, this area can be easily addressed, rather than looking for alternative and messing up, and making it worse in many ways. So I would say that's not at all an alternative.
What's your say in this?
I was just thinking, in some years ago when he was attending a conference in the US, he heard Josh McDowell speak, and he was telling the whole community that he traveled to Korea, South Korea, at least once in 3 months to address the problem of virtual, intimacy, of pornography. So it had just come into the church, and one of the fallouts of that has been that the church in Korea was declining when they did the church growth studies. So we need to know that what you do inside your house in closed doors affects the body of Christ, whether you like it or not. So it is not just about me, my need of intimacy. It is about God's design for us as a people who are called out to be holy unto Him. And so what I do in my bedroom privately may not be seen by anybody. Maybe nobody knows, but it affects the body of Christ. And the church will crumble from within if we allow these kind of things to stay within our homes. Cleanse our own homes so that the church and the body of Christ then is strengthened to be able to live out our purposes for a time such as this.
And I think this has to be even spoken and addressed from the pulpit, because this is no more, it's an epidemic, it's there everywhere. And it's come to a point where young people are asking, is there anything wrong with this? Kind of a thing. So it's almost crossed the border to kind of feel that it is okay, as long as you are doing it just between yourself and it's not affecting anybody else and those kind of things. And many, sadly to say, many secular psychologists and others also encourage porn into, married life. You want to learn about physical intimacy, watch some pornography before you get married. And these are now advices also officially given. And because of that, they almost think this is almost like having a medicine, for your fever or anything like that. I tell you, the devil is come in different forms to affect, and slowly, this becomes addictive, and this affects couples, and this affects people, and it almost, becomes a divider in many, many marriages. So nip it at the bud.
I just want to add that there's a assumption that only men struggle with pornography. But I want to add, I've spoken to many, many women who struggle with pornography. So there is this lack of, addressing this issue within the context of the body of Christ, that we need to talk about it from our young people, to be really aware before this catches them. Because the sin that so easily entangles is lurking within our, mobile phones and gadgets and instruments. And we are falling prey to that. And studies, if you do any research on this, they say the first sexual experience that a person has becomes so imprinted upon his heart and his mind that he keeps craving for that first sexual experience. So marriage, marital intimacy, nothing will make sense to the person.
Right.
So you see how it affects your marriage, how it affects your intimacy in marriage. So I would definitely say, young people, beware. The enemy wants to steal the beautiful thing that God designed in sexual intimacy in the context of marriage, and he wants to defy you the enjoyment that God has designed.
Right.
And every time we tend to think that this belongs to the enemy, it doesn't. God designed physical intimacy and sex. It belongs to God. And I think we as a church, as a body of Christ, have to start speaking about it, because this is scriptural. This is what God designed. And the enemy has found many ways to steal and to break and to destroy this area of the marital covenant that God designed and said it is very good. The enemy wants us to think it belongs to him. It doesn't. It belongs to God.